Hello, welcome back to 8-Bit Popcorn with myself, Joe, and my friends, Ryan.
What's up?
And Zara.
Hey, hey, hey.
You've been upgraded from acquaintances to friends, by the way, so there you go. And this week, another blast from the past as one of gaming's most beloved franchises is getting another movie, the competitive, controversial, and may I say, curvaceous Mortal Kombat. And yeah, I know they were all C words instead of K words, but
They should have
I did
K.
write
I
this
envisioned
like a
them as
minute ago,
Ks.
so. Well, we'll just spell them with Ks, you know,
Yeah.
but we'll not write out KKK.
Synopsis will be a K. No.
No, let's not have a string of three. Yeah.
Yep.
So, we'll be discussing our thoughts on the upcoming movie, as well as our thoughts/memories on the franchise, and maybe even dive into a little bit of that aforementioned controversy. So, get over here and hang out with us.
Love
That
it.
was
Brilliant.
so
that
good.
was so good. Are you in the next movie, Joe?
I am Scorpion.
You are Scorpion. Wow.
Yeah.
I watched it for the first time in I don't know how long last night. And I was surprised at how much I actually forgot about it. There was so much I could not remember. So it was like seeing it for the first time all over again. And I absolutely loved it. It was cheesy as hell. And there's a lot about it that didn't age all that well. But I really enjoyed watching that movie.
It's very cool.
A lot of people do hold it up as the best gaming movie. It's sort of because of that, because it is so cheesy and silly and over the top, but so is the games. I mean, the games are so crazy gory over the top, and the movie is kind of like that. And I think a lot of people are looking forward to the new movie because it seems to be gory from the trailer anyway.
So gory. I think that's a huge selling point, though. When you see that they've just went full scale gore and they even had it in the trailers, it just lets you know what you're in for. Because I would imagine, even as a trailer, they're probably holding back. So I'm expecting even gorier content in the actual movie itself.
Yeah.
Didn't it start the games being given
Censorship,
much like films have? Yeah. There's an acronym. I can't remember what it was, but
ESRB, is it?
I think so. Yeah, it was one of the
think it
first
is.
video games, I think, to get a rating or a score. And then
If
it
there was to
introduced
be
a
a
lot
game to do
more
it, it
training.
would have been Mortal Kombat.
It was definitely Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wasn't even, I mean, I feel like you're either camp Mortal Kombat or camp Street Fighter. I
Okay.
was absolutely camp Street Fighter all the way for the SNES.
So I get them mixed up. Well, not anymore. I used to get them mixed up before I was a game connoisseur. I know.
Did
isn't
you
that
watch
terrible?
Mortal Kombat?
Yes.
You'll be telling us about
Yes.
Jean-Claude Van Damme or something.
Wait, because I don't know if you guys noticed, but Johnny Cage is based on Jean-Claude Van Damme. The creators wanted to make a video game about him, but they couldn't. So they were like, okay, we'll just, have a character inspired by him.
Because they had
So
the
now that
iconic
makes me even more confused.
splits. So they did. When he was fighting Goro, he had the iconic splits,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which is very cool.
Goro.
But you can never replace Jean-Claude Van Damme.
But the fact that he was in Street Fighter, the film, which I've also seen, and I think I watched them around the same time last year, just in my head then created like a massive big film of lots of people fighting, and I just couldn't really discern them for a while.
It's
And
so
then I was
meta.
able to sort it out.
Yeah, I was camp neither. I was more Soul Calibur and Super Smash Brothers. So
I do love Soul
Ooh,
Calibur. That is
yeah.
a good one.
I
yeah,
like Soul Calibur.
make a movie of Soul Calibur, please.
What did you think, Joe, of Mortal Kombat?
Uh,
I was very
stupid.
interested in your opinion. Yeah.
It's I don't know. I am not a so bad it's good kind of person. I'm just like it's
Okay.
bad, it's bad. The only movie I would give like so bad it's good to is The Room. That is a work of genius. But for this type of stuff, I get the appeal. I do get the appeal. If you're high, I mean, it's time for 420 and Mortal Kombat. I mean, that would be a good time. That would be fun. But yeah, I didn't really like it.
There's no story, not really. There's so
No, it's
little
just-
plot. But then that doesn't mean that there has to be a plot for it to be
No.
enjoyable or fun.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
It's not trying to be anything else. And it's just not a movie for me. But, I can see why people like it. The special effects. Ooh.
The special
And the
effects
acting.
are awful. Well, the CGI is awful. It has not aged well at all. The practical effects, though, some of it I thought were still impressive. Prince
Practical
Goro
effects hold up
himself,
well.
I actually thought he held up pretty well. Apart from when the camera lingered on him too long and you seen him moving, then I thought he looks bad. But when he was not moving so much and just somewhat speaking, I thought, he looks pretty damn good.
Yeah.
Yeah, when it was a close up on him.
Yeah, like I mean, today he'd just be CGI. I wondered why they spelt combat with a K. Did anybody else look that up?
I didn't. No, I just thought they were trying to be. Yeah,
well, that is an argument that it's edgy. That a K is louder, air quotes, than a C for marketing. So it could just be a marketing impact. But they were also saying that, according to an interview with, is it John Tobias? Is that how you pronounce his name? He's one of the creators. That it was a trademark thing. So Mortal Kombat, apparently the words were not unique enough for like trademarking. So they put the K in and replaced basically all, if not most of K's in the C's in the franchise with the K, and that it kind of made it a little series tradition. So
okay,
yeah, apparently that's why they have K's and everything. Because even if you look at Scorpion, it's a K instead of a C.
Yeah, and like Kung Lao and Li Kang and stuff.
Yeah,
so.
And Katana.
And it does, yes. Well, Katana's spelled with a K.
Yeah.
Katana. Oh, as in it hasn't been replaced. Oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah.
I see the game now. Sorry.
But it does.
I was just
it
like looking
color.
for K's.
Yes.
It does, yeah.
But at the time of its release, it didn't do very well. Even today, it's still sitting at a 5.7 on IMDb and a 46% on the tomato meter on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
So it's still considered a bad movie. It's just a cult classic, I suppose, but it's still a shit movie. But a fun one to watch.
I like the way it looks.
It's a polished turd.
I like the way it's very 90s, and it's very obviously 90s, which is just my favorite aesthetic.
It's nostalgia.
And the effects. I mean, even when what do you call her, Sonya Blade is pulled back into the vortex thing, and it's like this silver mesh stuff. It's just really bad. But
it looked really bad.
It's cool. It's fun.
The reptile was the worst piece of CGI in it. Hands down.
Oh wow,
it was so bad.
I forgot how bad that was.
I couldn't believe
those polygons.
I know, horrible,
amazing,
awful.
It was like he was drawn on paint or something.
Yeah, I mean, whenever you said about like the 90s aesthetic, yeah, I was really reminded of like 90s movies, and one movie it kind of reminded me of was Power Rangers. You know, the original Power Rangers movie. Yeah. Then I went and looked up clips of that, and I was like, the choreography in this movie is pretty good.
In Power Rangers.
Yeah. And then I started looking up the sequences from that, the skydiving sequence.
Oh my goodness.
All that. And then I looked up the fight between Ivan Ooze and the like Megazord, and I was like,
oh my
90s
God.
CGI.
That's like my entire childhood, that sequence.
Yeah,
so
absolutely love it. And just whenever the music started playing, I was like, oh, I'm back on the floor watching Power Rangers on a Saturday morning.
But some of the choreography.
Why were we always on the floor? I was on the floor too.
I mean, I fell asleep on the floor as well in front of the TV. I don't know.
We had no seats in our house.
We had plenty of seats. I just chose to be like this cat sitting on the floor. So.
But I think a lot of the choreography still stands up today in Mortal Kombat. A lot of it is awful and slow, and you could chop it up to maybe even camera placement, or how long they linger on a shot. But I find it the fight between humans, so say it's like Sub-Zero and was it Kai Lang, basically any kind of human actors, like any fight with Scorpion or Sub-Zero or Reptile, I thought were really impressive. I thought they were nice. They were quick paced. I thought you could really feel every single punch. It sounded good. I thought the choreography was still really, really good. But then on the other end of the scale, you had Johnny Cage fighting Prince Goro, and it just looked like shit.
Yeah.
It looked so bad.
It could not integrate physical with CGI at that time.
That's very true. Actually, I didn't even. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I like the physicality of the characters too. I like Sonya, and her ponytail whipping.
Do you know Cameron Diaz was originally meant to play Sonya Blade?
Really?
Yeah, but she apparently broke her wrist, so then couldn't. And at this point, she was still an unknown actress in Hollywood. So, but then she went on to play in The Mask anyway, so she did okay.
Yeah, she
because she had a lot of good physical stuff in Charlie's Angels. She had some stuff that obviously they had a lot of stunt doubles, but a lot of her physicality in that was quite cool. So yeah, that would have been quite good. That's interesting.
Well, if we're talking about like casting choices and stuff, Brandon Lee, Bruce Lee's son, he was cast to play Johnny Cage, but obviously.
Well, Tom Cruise also wanted to be Johnny Cage, and he didn't get it.
Did he?
Apparently, he had like a stage or a hangar nearby, and he kept lingering onto the set to see what was happening, and they kept telling him, "Go away, You're not
Oh
part
my
of this film. Piss off. He was just
Get
so
outta here,
curious as
Tommy.
to what was going on. Yeah.
Get out of here, Tom Cruise. Take you and your Scientology with you.
I have some other wee facts that I came across, which I thought was really interesting.
Oh.
So, Goro, Prince Goro kept breaking. He kept like limbs would fall off or pieces of machinery just wouldn't work. So, and then the crew dubbed him as the real diva because of his refusal to work on set, which I thought was quite funny.
That's cool.
Spielberg is apparently a huge fan of the franchise, and he was originally meant. There's a scene where you're first introduced to Johnny Cage, and he's walking off the set, and you see this kind of camera on like a big jib or arm coming down, and you see this character that looks awfully a lot like Spielberg, and Spielberg was meant to play that small cameo, but then because of shooting schedules or what have you, he couldn't attend. So they just got some other German actor who resembled a real likeness to Spielberg to play that role anyway, just to kind of still reflect Spielberg, who should have been in the movie, which I thought was interesting because at the start I thought it was him.
Pretty good look like.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
must have been.
I think Kai Lang towards the end during his fight with Reptile broke 2 ribs. So the Reptile had thrown him against a pillar and apparently he had cracked 2 ribs, but he didn't want to complain because they would have stopped production, so he didn't say anything. He didn't tell them.
Oh my God.
So he kept going.
Apparently that's super painful too.
I would imagine so.
It's one of the worst things that can happen.
Yeah. And apparently actually that Reptile fight scene was thrown in last minute. You're like the green Sub-Zero Scorpion type character. So that fight was thrown in last minute because test audiences thought that there wasn't enough action. So they needed more. So they quickly kind of shoehorned that scene in at the end.
Not enough action.
Yeah. They thought there was
It's
not enough action.
non-stop, guys.
Which makes me think, actually, that means the Reptile, like with that scene in place, then it kind of gives credit to why the Reptile was introduced because, we're going to use him to be this other character. But if they didn't create that final fight scene within that kind of Reptile character, what was the fucking point? It wasn't really used for anything. Not really. Not to the point that you would have spent a budget to pay for a stupid Reptile that looked like shit that would barely have been used.
Maybe they were going to use it for something else and then
maybe,
I don't know. And then they were happy enough to shoehorn it in because they were like, well, we've got this. We may as well use it.
My other 2 facts are the Cameron Diaz fact and the Spielberg fact. So there you go. A couple of wee facts for you.
Interesting. I actually like the fact that the new film has, to me, they're relatively unknown apart from Hiroyuki Sanada, who is devastating in 47 Ronin and The Last Samurai. But apart from that, I don't really recognize a lot of the actors, which I'm kind of excited for because in the original, I think at the time they were all, again, relatively unknown. And that I really like that in films when I don't know the actors from other things because it helps me to place them in those characters, obviously. So I really like that. I always get a real, if I don't know anyone, I'm like, this is going to be good because I can really see those people in those roles rather than being like, oh, there's Johnny Depp being Johnny Depp in a different film.
It's like if they had Cameron Diaz and Tom Cruise in this movie. By now I would be looking at it and it would be the norm, but looking back at it, now it would be weird.
Yeah, maybe that helps with its sort of cult status because, it's not like loads of well-known people. You can kind of just sort of see them as the characters as such.
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
Along with the CGI, something that actually stood out for me was the music. Now, the music's obviously very iconic. Everybody knows the music. I felt like
it started to play in the trailer. I was like, yeah, we're here.
You love that you can't have, Mortal Kombat without that iconic soundtrack. Everybody knows I don't know what it's called, but everybody knows what it is. But I felt like the other original scores created by George Clinton fitted better into the movie. Like when I saw any other combat scene and music started to play, the music is epic. I loved it. And it just felt right. As soon as you hear that Mortal Kombat song come in, it felt cheesy and wrong. And I know I wouldn't have it not in the movie, but it still felt wrong. And I kind of wondered, has the song maybe outgrown the franchise or something? I don't know if you guys agree or not.
It's very much of the game. I think when it plays and you're playing the game, it's a different atmosphere than if you're watching the film, I think, and you kind of expect different scores for that. But yeah, I agree with you. If it hadn't been in the film, it would have been strange.
Yeah, the soundtrack actually went platinum, didn't it?
It did really well.
And yeah, everybody knows that song, Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, so iconic.
So 90s.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get that on a T-shirt. It's so 90s. I can't
It's so
seem to stop
90s.
saying it.
Just get on t-shirt the 90s aesthetic.
It's so 90s. It's almost 2000s. I think that's what I'm gonna get.
Apparently, it was meant to be a lot gorier. Apparently, the original scripts actually were meant to be a lot gorier. There was meant to be a lot more violence. But the studios had them rein it back for the PG-13 rating, so it wasn't as violent as they had wanted it to be. Which is weird because when you look at the games, like they are riddled with blood and gore, and the movie not so much.
Does anyone have a favorite like finishing move? Because I really like what's the one where you can like flip your opponent onto like a bed of spikes?
Oh yes.
Oh yeah.
So gruesome. That was one of my faves.
I don't know.
I've watched like compilations of finishing moves, from the newer games, and it kind of makes me feel sick. I'm like, but I can't
It's
look
a
away.
lot, isn't it? You can
It
like
is a
turn
lot,
into an animal as well and like ravish them.
Yeah, people getting torn in half, people getting their skulls melted, and I don't know.
But you always knew in the
So
movie
scary.
when a fatality was about to happen because they're standing there, just swaying side to side. You're like, do it, do it, do it. But I'm not overly familiar with the game Mortal Kombat, so I'm not like, partially because it's a Sega game, isn't it?
It's been published by different publishers. It was originally made by Midway.
Yeah. But what
It's done
And
console?
then was it
different-
Warner Brothers, I think, took it over?
It was
Or
in
one
the,
console, I'm not sure.
Or maybe it did come out for the SNES, I don't know, but I just sucked at it, and that's part of the reason why I never played it. It just seemed like a really tough game to play.
Yeah, it originally came out in arcades, and then it came out in the Sega Genesis, and it did come out on the SNES or the SNES.
Maybe.
But the gore was censored in the SNES version, and
Right.
so people gravitated to the Genesis version, which didn't have the gore censored.
How did they censor it back then?
I don't know. They just, I think instead of like red,
Not allow fatalities?
no, they had fatalities, but instead of like having red blood, they had like
Gray
blue
or
blood, so it
something?
looked
Okay.
like sweat, hitting off people rather than blood.
Okay.
I remember they kind of went against the backlash and had some kind of friendship. You could finish with like, you could shake their hand, or you
Yeah.
could have like some kind of a.
Did you? I didn't know you could do
They were
that.
trying to be funny because they were like, well, everyone's
Yeah.
telling us that it's too
Sportsmanship.
much. So yeah,
Was it a French? Was it a friend?
it was.
It wasn't like a friendality or anything, but it was
friendality.
It was something like
silly
that though. It was
yeah.
It was. They kind of did like a takeoff name for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
that
they
was-
also had in later games like one called Babality, where you
yeah.
turned your
Turned
opponent
into
into
a
a baby. Yeah. I remember that. Yeah. I played some of the demos on the PS3 and PS4, and I got a demo disc, whenever game magazines were a thing and they came with demo discs.
Mm.
And whatever version of Mortal Kombat it was, it had Babalities in it. And I was like, this is fucking ridiculous. So
It's very
I carried
funny,
on
yeah.
playing Soul Calibur.
What
You're
is
like,
the
"Bye-bye."
franchise that, and I don't know why it came to my head, and this is going to maybe speak volumes. What is the franchise that has the woman with 3 boobs?
I think that's Mortal Kombat.
Is that Mortal Kombat? I couldn't find it, but I didn't want
Is
to go
that the
too deep into that
nerdy?
because it would reflect in my search history.
I go 3.
Oh.
I'm typing this.
Three-
I
into
did
Google,
type
but
in 3
boob
boobed
lady,
woman and all sorts
Mortal
come up.
Kombat.
I was like, I did type in Mortal Kombat and it didn't come up immediately either. And I thought, right, well, I'm not going to start having all sorts flagging up in my advertising, down the side of my screen.
I don't think it's Mortal Kombat. I mean, Mortal Kombat has a lot of boobs in it, but none of them.
I just
got
couldn't
3.
remember what it was. It felt like it was
Yeah.
Mortal Kombat. It might have been something else. I don't know.
Oh, I
How
wonder
would you
what that
design
is.
the lingerie for like 3 boobs?
Just have like a
Just add an extra cup.
no.
Come on,
yeah,
well, you
guys,
could
it's
have
like
a
a
cup,
tassel.
or it could just be like a little kind of.
Or
Yeah.
it could just be a strip across. It could just be
Yeah.
like a
Like a
boob
hammock.
tube, and it just
Do you know what I mean?
covers
Yes, like a
all.
boob tube.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hammock.
sort of thing.
Yeah,
Yes,
hammock would be great.
just a wee hammock, just
A hammock,
cradling
that's
all
amazing.
3. Yes,
Just cradling them.
yeah.
I mean, I got
amazing.
some results from typing in 3 boob.
I
lady
mean,
Mortal
Ryan, why
Kombat
aren't you in
images.
fashion design?
I should be in fashion design.
Really need to start a new career.
Mhm. And I would have 3 different colors and 3 different shapes of bra for each individual.
Amazing.
You know what they should have?
Each individual boob.
You could, or maybe you can already do it. You can pull these little tassels, and it kind of gives you more lift or less lift, depending how much comfort you want or how much support you want.
Ooh.
I just come up with that on the
that
fly.
probably exists in some form already, but yeah,
Mhm.
like a little curtain rail, and you just
Yeah.
pull it.
Yes. If you want to hoist them up, hoist them up. If you want to
This
let
is
them
amazing.
go, let them swing.
I can see a new career starting. Career
Oh,
path.
here I'm full of
Really
ideas. Full of shit too.
I think the three boob lady you're thinking of. Did you ever see that alien movie Paul?
Oh yeah,
Seth Rogen.
Yeah,
the
Seth
guy-
Rogen's the alien.
That was
and
I don't know. I
another
didn't really like it. I don't think I
Yeah.
finished it.
version
It's
of it. Wasn't
okay.
the guy doing a comic book or
He
something?
was doing a comic book with a three boobed
convention, yeah.
alien. Yeah.
Right. I remember her wearing purple. I just remember seeing it and everyone being like,
Three boobs.
"What?
One more.
Three?
How do I motorboat that?
You need two people."
Yeah.
It's amazing that this is so fascinating.
Like it seems that we have extensive knowledge on
It is in Total Recall. I think that flagged up, but I'm like, it's not
Oh,
her.
yeah, yeah.
She's not the woman I'm looking for.
If you're out there, three boob lady, get in
Hey,
touch.
get in touch, three boob
You
lady.
come find
We
me.
want to
Yeah.
hear from you.
Yep.
Ryan's ready to mingle with those trio of breasticles betwixt your shoulders.
Betwixt.
So we all seem to be experts on Mortal Kombat. Having all played it extensively and watched the movies repeatedly and whatnot.
But
Have
of
you got a favorite
course-
character?
I knew that
Of
was going to
course.
come up, and I don't know it well enough to say yes, but I always gravitated towards like Scorpion or Sub-Zero. I just thought they were cool. Although it's still a little bit unfair. Like if you were told you were facing off against Sub-Zero, you'd think, well, that's just fucking cheating. Like I don't think anybody could really realistically beat them in a fight.
What about you, Zara?
I would agree. Visually, I think Sub-Zero and Scorpion look the coolest.
Mhm.
And I would say my
Reptile's still
favorite
pretty cool too.
character.
He just doesn't have
Oh
an
yeah,
ability.
he's a similar style. Also, Sub-Zero and Scorpion look really good in the updated version.
They look so cool.
Yeah, they look really cool.
Mhm.
I'm really excited to see their fight. But favorite character, I would say Princess Katana, because she's
Yeah.
just badass. And plus, she's COVID friendly with like the ninja mask.
true,
So
true.
you know what I'm saying?
She was ahead of her time.
She was.
She definitely
She
was,
knew
yeah.
what was coming.
Yeah.
Did they not say though she was like 1,000 years old?
Yeah, she's super old.
Yeah. She's seen a few pandemics in her time. She knows what to do.
She knows for sure.
Yeah. She been there when the Black Death happened, Yeah, I would say and visually I like Sub-Zero. I always like really gravitate to characters who have ice powers or lightning powers. I like that. But
She like Raiden.
I like
I always
cool,
thought it was
he's cool.
Raiden because that's how they said it in Metal Gear Solid.
Japanese.
But apparently it was it's Raiden,
Yeah.
as per the movie.
The dirty Americans bastardizing the pronunciation of Japanese again, going Raiden.
So you would
But-
say it is Raiden then?
I would say it is Raiden.
Okay,
I would
what
say
Yeah, they
Raiden.
do
I
call
would
it
have thought
Raiden.
that. Yeah.
so. But upon researching the characters, one stood out to me because he kind of sexy, and it's Kano. The guy with the metal on his face. And
Yeah.
apparently, he is a gay icon on gay Twitter, which
Right.
is cool. He's got all the characteristics of. Hold on, let me see. He's got. According to gay Twitter, this makes Kano a trashy gay fantasy because of the way he acts, chugging beer cans,
Mhm.
pissing everywhere, hitting the camera in the game. And here's a quote from gay Twitter, which
I've never heard the
it's
term
just,
gay
it's,
Twitter.
it's gold. Oh, there's loads of Twitters. There's gay Twitter, trans Twitter,
Right.
right-wing
It's
Twitter,
still
leftist
Twitter though. It's still Twitter,
socialist
isn't it?
Twitter.
Is it or is it?
It's still Twitter, but they're
Yeah.
in their own little echo chambers, so
Okay.
they kind of have
Yes,
their own
right.
communities. But this is a quote about Kano from gay Twitter. Okay, here we go. This character is not heterosexual. He is a dick pig. You'd find him in the hole at Jackhammer any night. Jackhammer is a Chicago gay club, so there you go. Find him in the hole. I do.
Wow.
I mean,
I really enjoyed our trip into gay Twitter there.
you should take a.
We should go
Take
more
a
often.
stroll through it.
We should do an
yes.
episode on gay Twitter.
We should just do a whole episode.
See what we find.
It's amazing.
Honestly.
Yeah, you didn't like him,
Wow.
but all
I
the
didn't really
boys
like
did.
him. It's more the mask I didn't like. I just thought it looked a bit cheap.
I mean, is game, his updated game models and stuff, they sexy.
Maybe so.
Got a hairy
Mhm.
chest.
Mm.
But they are bringing a lot of the original cast from the 1995 Mortal Kombat to the 2021 Mortal Kombat. If you look on the IMDb, they're bringing back the original Sonya Blade, Scorpion, Liu Kang, maybe Sub-Zero. I'm not 100% sure, but they are bringing back some of the original cast. And I thought that was really cool because it's a reboot. They could have just replaced everybody. So I thought it was really interesting that they chose to actually bring back the original cast, which I think just even for nostalgia. I can't say I have nostalgia for the franchise because I wasn't a big fan of Mortal Kombat, but it's really nice to see that fan service.
I think there'll be a lot of draw as well from that.
I think they will, but it's kind of sticking to the game because the game itself unusually allows its characters to age. So they do get older as the franchise continues. Like Johnny Cage has a daughter called Cassie Cage, and she's a character that's playable. And there's other people who have come and gone who are related to different characters. Or I don't know if anybody else has like children in it, but they do grow up, which is unusual for games.
I didn't realize that there's about 12 games, something like that. That's a lot of Mortal Kombat. Like I was always a Street Fighter, and there've only been 5. And the last one only came out a few years ago. And I've only ever really played the second and third. So I thought it was really interesting that the franchise has been going for a lot longer, but I always felt like Street Fighter was more popular.
Apparently they did a live tour as well, which was really popular
for the game.
Probably back in the 90s. Yeah, apparently they did like a tour. They toured it, and they had people playing the characters, and it was like a show that you could go to, which sounds epic.
It does.
But I didn't look too much into it. But yeah, it was one of the, because it said, it was a big media franchise, and then it was all of the kind of offshoots of that, as well as having, I didn't know there was that many games as well, which is kind of crazy.
It's a good time to get back into it, I think. I wouldn't mind maybe going back to the most recent and dipping my toe in those waters. Yeah,
as you said, good time to rediscover.
The 1995 Mortal Kombat, I don't need to keep saying the year, was directed by Paul W.S. Anderson. So I looked at his body of work, and he's done a lot of the Resident Evil.
Yeah, we've talked about it
Monster
before.
Hunter. Yeah, and his wife's obviously Mila Jovovich. She's done very well. He just keeps casting her in everything he does, because he's doing some other George R.R. Martin adaptation, The Lost Lands, and he's casting her as the lead again. So
they're a power couple.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I do love her. I think I love seeing her.
She's really cool.
She's kick-ass.
Watched Ultraviolet a couple of nights ago.
Oh yeah.
Oh Jesus! What a bad film, but I loved it. I was so excited.
I mean, you want to talk about bad CGI? Ultraviolet. Yeah.
When did that come out?
So good, so bad. 2006.
Right.
I want to say. That's probably completely wrong.
Hasn't aged well then, has it?
Really hasn't. It looks like it's from like the late 90s.
It looked like shit when it was released. So I mean, it really looks like shit now.
And like a continuity nightmare, because she keeps changing her hair color and her outfit color, and it was just all over the place. Yeah, it was wild. Cameron Bright was really good as the kid, though. That was a really cool part of it. But yeah, such a film.
You're right. 2006. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
There's a sequel. I think it was 1997. I was going to say Metal Gear, Mortal Kombat, and Annihilation, and it apparently was worse again with 3.7 on IMDb. I've never seen it.
I have not seen it. No.
Same cast, with the premise
I kind of want to see it.
These warriors have 6 days to save Earth from an extra-dimensional invasion. Now that I'm on this sort of Mortal Kombat train, I kind of want to go back and watch it. But apparently it's awful. And if you didn't really think the first one was that good, I mean, you'll probably not be a big fan of the next one. But if you just want to see more, if you want to see more Mortal Kombat, it might not hurt.
I might check that one out before I go see the new one, just to kind of get ready, get excited.
Set your expectations.
I was going to ask, what about the overall plot? I know there wasn't much of a plot. Was there anything anybody really, really liked or really disliked?
I liked how they kept it similar to the games, as in like there was no plot, so you could kind of just get through it.
Well, it's an easy watch for an hour and 45 minutes.
Yeah, I'm similar to you, Ryan, as when you went back to rewatch it, there was loads of things that you forgot. I feel like the last time I watched it, right after, I was like, oh, remember this bit. And now I'm struggling. I'm like, I remember that bit. And then that bit and stuff, but then there's no real standout moments.
I did really enjoy the set pieces, actually. There was the one where Johnny Cage was fighting a reptile, and they went to this dungeon where it's all built of like these rafters and bones everywhere, and they're jumping from one platform to the next, and the camera jumps back and it cuts to an extreme wide, and the camera just kind of tracks across the screen as the fighters are moving across the screen, and it just resembled how the original game looked, that side profile, but it was so wide, and the set was just so overbearing, and it was just epic in scale. And it was a couple of set pieces just really jumped out for me as gorgeous. Even by today's standards, I still thought they looked very good. I enjoyed them.
It was very Indiana Jones, Lara Croft, wasn't it? Kind of those aesthetics. It was cool.
It was Mortal Kombat Annihilation, that one where it's like one of the worst line readings ever, where somebody's like, "No, you will die," or something.
I don't know. I never saw it.
Sounds like it.
I have seen it, and my memory's just blanked it, along with 95% of Mortal Kombat 1995.
So shall we talk about the trailer?
Yes.
Of the new movie and see what we're looking forward to.
It looks so good.
I watched the trailer a couple of weeks ago. Do I need to refresh myself quickly, or?
I mean, we could all watch it now and be like, "Oh, look at that bit! Look at that bit where he freezes the bullets and shit."
I'm not sure if you guys can be able to hear the audio here, but
no, it doesn't matter.
At any point you want me to pause this and call something out, let me know.
People with guns.
Ooh.
I mean, they look amazing.
Scorpion. Oh no, wait, it's up.
The outfits and everything.
I mean, the CG for the ice is actually pretty good.
Really good. I was surprised they show the shattering of the arms.
Yeah. We were talking about like Mortal Kombat, the old one, like its CG being really bad. The CG in this is pretty solid. So, from what we can see from the trailer anyway.
They've been invited to the Intergalactic Tournament. So we're following the representatives of Earth again, I assume.
I think so.
Mm-hmm. Seems like it. There was Raiden, or Raiden, if you're nasty.
Do you think this movie will be like an hour and a half, 2.5 hour epic? What do you think?
I'm not sure.
I think 2 hours at the most. I think it's one of those movies that lends itself to being like an hour and a half to 2 hours, rather
setting
than
itself up for a prequel, or sorry, a sequel, or a trilogy franchise, or just a one-off.
It depends how well it does, maybe.
Probably sequels. I mean, I wouldn't mind a prequel of like Scorpion and Sub-Zero. That would be cool.
What do you call the guy with the arms, the big metallic arms?
Oh,
I never remember his name.
I thought he was in the first Mortal Kombat, but obviously not. No?
No, I don't know.
I was chatting about this to somebody and I couldn't remember his name.
I mean, that fire dragon looks cool.
I love that bit where Sub-Zero just gets the ice and just like slams it.
I mean, choreography here looks pretty good. It looks pretty like standard stuntman stuff.
It does.
Did he freeze his blood?
He froze his blood and then used it as a dagger. I thought that was brilliant. That was amazing.
So ready for this film.
Oh, here's the line. Get over here. Bam.
Amazing.
Yeah, I love the dragon symbol. I thought
it's really cool. Yeah.
Yeah, iconic.
I'm surprised how much they can show in a trailer. That has got to be one of the goriest trailers I think I've seen in a long time.
True.
So I can't remember the last trailer that I've ever watched that has displayed that much gore. Even something like Saw would never have shown limbs being, cut off or blood. And
no, because that's the fun of Saw, is seeing whether people get the junk cut off or something.
Yeah, I suppose. I can't think of a movie that showed that level of gore, and it's not even coming across as gory. Yeah. Violent, yes, but it doesn't come across as gory.
True, yeah.
It's very video gamey. Yeah. Like violence, like the freezing the arms and then shattering them rather than like just lopping them off. So
yeah, true. It's quite video game rather than real life.
Yeah. I mean, as you were saying, Zara, like Mortal Kombat set the precedent for censorship and ratings in video games with the ESRB thing, which has continued till today. Even recently, there were politicians, calling for GTA 5 to like answer for carjackings in Chicago just because there was carjackings. And you're like,
oh wow,
yeah, don't be blaming GTA 5. What about blaming the fact that we've got a pandemic and we've got a lot of people who are very angry, and we've got a political system that does not cater to everybody. So why not blame that kind of system? Blame the system, not fucking video games, which have proven study after study
to blame video games.
Yeah, they do not increase violence.
They're blamed so often, and it's just not quantified.
Yeah, they use correlation, not causation.
There is research to suggest that obviously video gaming has positive benefits. If it's like a risk and reward. Achieving something in a game kind of releases these dopamine or something in your brain that tells you that you're doing something good, that you're doing something positive, that you're making your progress and achieving. And that's a that's a positive thing, and it's also been shown to show like dexterity, teaching people like hand-eye coordination, which is very clever. And as well as that, critical thinking to a certain extent. Like anything is bad if you do use too much of it. But even the likes of gaming, especially today, you're playing something, for example, like Call of Duty, and you're assessing what's happening in the environment. You're looking for, like visual cues. You're listening to audio cues. You're looking up at your map, which is in one corner, to assess where the enemies are. You're looking down in the bottom corner to assess what weapon you have. Is it the right weapon? How much ammo you have? Do you have grenades? So what's in your arsenal to attack the situation at hand? Then you're looking in the other corner, maybe to see some information that's coming up as an objectives or, optional objectives. So you're constantly making short, snap decisions. So they say that is to some extent positive.
And encountering situations that you wouldn't in real life, and working through those, kind of
it's just
preparing you for. Yeah, it's fun as well. I have so many friends that play certain video games, and then in real life they'll do something or say something, and I'll be like, "Oh, that's really cool," and they'll be like, "Yeah, it's probably because I've played a lot of video games." And I'll be like, "Oh, so there's so many skills that you're learning that aren't just the obvious
actually
ones."
happened with me and driving.
Oh, really?
As soon as I got into the car, I went, "This is like GTA 5."
Exactly.
I think it was GTA 5. I'm not sure I had actually played it by that time, but it was either like GTA 4 or 5. And I was like, this is exactly like GTA. And I was able to get in, and he was like, "Oh, have you driven before?" And I was like, "No, only in the video game realm."
But I play games.
But I play games, and I won't hit the pedestrians this time, okay?
I promise. I won't carjack anyone.
Please take me on another lesson. I won't hit the grannies.
I don't like this one. Let's pick another one. It's not a game, Joe.
But I want the sports car.
Where's the prostitutes?
Just honking at somebody. Get in. Get in. I got $5 for you. But just as you were sort of saying, like it almost trains people's motor skills at times, because there was an article about VR recently, and Beat Saber.
I have played that. I played that 3 weeks ago, just out of curiosity. Haven't touched
really
it since.
good. I love playing it. Like I'm actually really good at it.
It is addictive.
Yeah.
It is addictive.
Yeah. I got some, well, not high scores, but I got some like top 100 scores in Beat Saber.
We should do a Beat Saber live stream.
You guys should
that's
do
when I would
all
like
3 subscribers.
Yeah.
My goodness,
come on,
that's class.
Watch me play stuff. But
I'll be the referee.
I'll just call it Ryan and Joe's beat off.
Oh God.
People will tune in for something else.
Yeah. Joe beats off.
Joe beats off his Saber.
Ryan beats off with Joe.
Mutual beat off.
While Zara commentates. And they're off.
Yeah.
Ryan has an early lead on Joe. Will he catch up? Who knows?
No, it's about me trying to get you off and you trying to get me off as quick as you can. Yeah. And whoever finishes first loses.
Yeah. Okay.
I love this. Can't wait.
That's it. Yeah. It's all PG, I swear. But anyway, so they were saying about Beat Saber that they actually now have to recalibrate, like not just the Oculus, but other hand tracking systems and controller tracking systems, because they didn't think people could move so fast. Because people make their own custom maps for Beat Saber, and so they're moving like crazy fast, but the systems can't keep up with them. So now they have to be like, people can have actually adapted to the speed, and so now they have to adapt the technology to people, which I find very interesting.
That is awesome.
Have you seen the dual lightsaber Beat Saber?
No.
People are playing with like a Darth Maul style Beat Saber.
Oh, it actually it looks so awkward.
So difficult, but I mean, fair play if you can do that. Like I was playing some songs, and with the two, it is really fun. I wouldn't like. It got to the point where I'm playing it. I'm like, just one more, and you missed 2 or 3. You're like, just one more again. I can get it.
The multiplayer on it's really fun.
Is that just online multiplayer?
I enjoy beating noobs. Yeah.
And are you playing the songs with them, or how do you see them?
Yeah, so you get up to like 5 people, and it's kind of like you're in an arena. Like imagine a Tron style arena, where there's just 5 podiums, and you can see all their notes, coming towards them, and you can see your notes, and whoever's winning, their platform rises the highest, and whoever's, it's sort of tiered, with your scores. And girl, usually I'm on top, so
yeah,
challenge
maybe
me on on Expert and Expert Plus difficulty. Noobs.
Oh my gosh, I'd be a noob. I've never played it.
Yeah.
I've watched other people play it, but I've never
I
attempted.
was okay at hard within an hour. But I don't think I would ever get to the level of.
That's not bad.
I don't think I could ever get to the level of Expert Plus. That's just.
Oh my God.
I struggled with some of them on hard.
Yeah. Well, I did actually go down to my housemates afterwards. I was like, Expert Plus completed a song. So
Were they
fuck
super
all y'all.
impressed?
They were
Just
not
walking around the
impressed.
house all smug and arrogant.
Well, you may have got paid for your job today, but I completed the level on Expert Plus. So who's the
So who had a
winner
better
here?
day?
Really?
I had looked up an interesting, maybe in one of the games, or it was a standalone game, Mortal Kombat versus DC Universe, which I thought was really cool, where Shao Kahn and Darkseid fuse into Dark Khan, which I just thought that was really cool. And then there were lots, I think Joker was in it, and lots of different characters from the DC, which, yeah, it just seemed really cool. And then there was also a list of guest fighters I found in subsequent games. We had Kratos from God of War, the Alien from Alien, the Predator, the Terminator, RoboCop, and John Rambo, which I thought was
game
really
was this?
awesome.
Sorry, my
I
headphones
looked
were
up
off.
some,
Maybe you said that.
but this was in Mortal Kombat, but this was like
Okay.
guest fighters that they had
Kind of sounds like a
in
Smash
other
Bros.
games.
Type
So
game. Yeah, because they're just a mix of characters, aren't they?
Yeah, it's kind of like that. Yeah. I think I'm not too sure in terms of the timelines, but I think the Mortal Kombat versus DC thing led to then the same studio doing Injustice.
oh, that would make sense. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it was NetherRealm Studios, and yeah, they used that fighting engine because it's like a
Such a
crunchy
game.
fighting engine. It's very boom, boom, boom. It's not like Street Fighter that's a little bit floaty with good hitboxes. Like Mortal Kombat's more crunchy and imprecise, but fun.
Is Mortal Kombat like Injustice, where it's like combo, like button combos,
Yeah.
or is it like
I think
one
all
button for
fight
one
games are
move?
pretty much
Or
like that, are they not?
are they mostly like that? Yeah.
Street Fighter
I
kind
feel
of
like
pioneered
Mortal
that, I
Kombat
suppose.
was a very difficult game with combos. I don't know. I could never do
Mm.
their special moves or their combos or their finale, like their finishers. I always felt like I couldn't do them. I mean, I'm sure.
Yeah, whenever I played the demo, I had to pause the game, go into the menu, look at the button combinations, for the finishers, and then come back into the game
I
and do it.
still have to do that for Injustice because I can't remember. I like look at it and I memorize maybe 2 or 3, and then I just use those 3 for the whole game. Like I can't remember.
Yeah.
So bad.
So I'm a Dragon Ball Z Budokai man. That's what I grew up
I
with.
played that. Yeah, I played that on the
Love-
PS2.
even did I still sit and play Dragon Ball Kakarot. Like I think Dragon Ball Z fighting games are the best. Even Dragon Ball Fighters or Fighter Z, whatever way you want to pronounce it. I loved it. I think it's kind of like a Mortal Kombat Street Fighter side kind of scroller where you're just kind of looking at the profiles. I really enjoyed that. But yeah,
I like
guess-
Xenoverse.
I love
where you're in
Xenoverse.
the-
Is it the second
you're
one? I
in
think
the-
was maybe better than the first, where you could create your own. And I thought the story was better, but Dragon Ball Kakarot, I think, is just a great game.
I haven't played a Dragon Ball game since the PS2, and it was Dragon Ball Budokai Tenkaichi, I think it was.
I mean, it's this. Yes, it's the same game. I mean, it's the same.
Yeah.
I have that gripe with like FIFA. Just the same shit. Like, oh, we've got a couple of extra pixels on some fucking blades of grass. Whoop, you fucking do. But then people can say easy and say the same thing. Say, well, I could say the exact same thing with Dragon Ball. It's the same game. You're playing through the same series, same villains, same arcs. And it's like,
yeah, you go through the same
I
story
suppose,
over
but I
and
love
over.
it. I don't care.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you're a fan of it, I mean, I was kind of the same. I bought a few of the Naruto games. It was Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm.
Yeah.
And I mean, fair enough. They did like sort of split the series into different games, so you weren't playing through the same sections over and over again. But in the later games, yeah, it was just sort of the same story beats over and over and same fighting engine. So it was the same gameplay. And I was like, this is getting a bit redundant. I don't want to buy this anymore. If I've
samey.
played one game, I played them all. Like, I mean, I have not moved on. Like I said, the last Soul Calibur I played was Soul Calibur 2 on the GameCube whenever Link was a guest star from Zelda. That was fun.
Oh, wow.
He was always my favorite character. And then
Back in the
I've never
day.
moved on from Super Smash Brothers Melee. I've never even like played Brawl or
It
anything.
looks like the
so-
type of game that would be a lot of fun. I just never
Yeah.
actually given it a chance.
It's a really good party game. like I don't really like racing games and stuff like
No.
that, but like Super Smash Brothers is a really good party game.
Couch co-op, that's my favorite. Games you could sit
Couch
with a
co-op.
friend and play, like Halo, Left 4 Dead.
Yeah, I should send you the links to something because I watched a video the other day. I can't remember who it was by. It was either by Game Maker's Toolkit, I think, or somebody, the architect of gaming, and it was, can you assess your personality through the games that you like?
Yeah.
And it was kind of like a just a question filled video, but there was a link to a site where you did take a quiz about the types of games that you played and the types of ways you played them, and then it categorized you like in different gamer types. So I'll send you the link to that. My one was bounty hunter and architect. It was basically a solo player who likes to power level and get strong and master a game, or somebody who likes a slow paced game like strategy and stuff.
I would say I'd be strategy. My 3 favorite games is Hitman, Metal Gear Solid, and Splinter Cell.
Okay.
And I love Mass Effect. I love Mass Effect.
Yeah,
so
Mass
much.
Effect.
Can't wait for the remaster.
Well, my favorite game is Stick of Truth. South Park.
I loved the Stick of Truth. I didn't
What
play
kind
the
of
second
gamer
one.
would that make me?
I
I have no idea.
Bounty hunter, maybe, because it is solo and you gain levels and get better at it. So I don't know.
Yeah, I'm actually watching through the most recent series of South Park and really enjoying it.
Oh, I need to get back into it.
Oh no,
We have veered way off Mortal Kombat. I don't know how much
We
we're
have
using
a little
this.
bit,
Really
yeah.
have.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Oh,
go
wait.
ahead.
Joe, go with your question.
Okay. Well, just remember your questions are. I don't want to take away from it, but we talked about controversies earlier on, and you know, Mortal Kombat has like been mired in controversy, not just violence but also sexuality, because the females in it are presented, you know, very scantily clad. Not in the more recent games have kind of toned that down, but there was big like backlash to that whenever they did tone it down, because you know, fans of the series were like, I want to see my boobs and boob physics and whatnot. So what do you think about that?
I used to feel really weird playing the Dead or Alive. That was the first game where I remember playing it, and then a woman came on and she had these huge big boobs and they're sitting just, you know, like an ocean.
Boob
just,
physics.
Hi. And I was just like, there's nobody watching me playing this. Mom doesn't walk in, and I wasn't doing anything. It just, I felt odd when they did that, you know, in the same way that people are complaining in the Resident Evil remakes, that, you know, they've taken away the ability for certain characters to wear certain outfits or to show cleavage or boob or whatever. I don't know. I mean, I don't look for it. I don't need big boobs and boob physics in games. I don't know where I'm going with it. I don't think I need it. I don't need it. I don't need it in my games.
Get that on a t-shirt.
I think if women are being hypersexualized in a game, I would assume the men are as well. And if they're not, then I find that strange. So like
usually with men, they just take the tops off.
What's the game with Virgil and
Devil May
Dante?
Cry, is it?
Yeah, Devil May Cry. So like they're really like, you know, beef, like they're visually like beefy, and like their shirts are like, you know, their muscles are ripping their shirt, you know, because they're just so like, so if it's like that, and then the woman is like muscly with the boobs and the really thin waist and the long legs, then I sort of see it as, oh, okay, this is like the game engine. This is how everyone looks in this world. Whereas if it's just the women and the guys are just not hypersexualized, then
things,
to me, then that's
it's tit for tat, is what you're saying.
Yeah,
literally.
But then I suppose doesn't that cater to? But most gamers, I guess, are men. Well, back in the day, maybe girls are more
less so now, but maybe still
they're catered to more now. I would say they were. Yeah, I would say men were catered to back in like the 90s, early 2000s more. So I can kind of see why games were, you know, with all of that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, like, appease gay Twitter and have some bulge physics in there rather than just boob physics, okay? Well, like, hashtag get bulge physics in Mortal Kombat.
Yep.
There we go. That's
equality for all is physics for everything, basically.
Yeah, I mean, either nobody's sexualized or everybody's sexualized. That's what I want.
That's cool. Because it's just of the world then, of the game, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, these are what these people look like.
Yeah, maybe this, you know, because they are doing like different settings in games at the minute. And because, like you were kind of saying, Ryan, you know, Mortal Kombat is one of those series that iterates on itself. so it has its animations and everything, and they don't really need to do too much to the gameplay. Why don't they make new animations for people and have like options where you can turn off sexualized animations or turn on sexualized animations, so that you kind of cater the experience to yourself?
You could do.
Because I mean, a lot of the girls, they do have very sexy moves whenever they're beating people. You know, they're flipping over, they got crotches in people's face and stuff.
You could say the exact same thing for change of costume, change of outfit.
Yeah.
You could change their outfit, which you can do in games, but you could provide them with a change of outfit that then either sexualizes or desexualizes that character.
Yeah.
So it's, just giving the character, the gamer, the choice.
Yeah.
And then they have nothing to complain about.
Yeah, and they're kind of doing that with like different things with people with disabilities are doing different visual modes. Last of Us 2 is a really good example of that. They did like a colorblind mode and impaired, like people who didn't have as many motor skills in their hands, that kind of mode where they didn't have to press so many buttons. So things like that.
Oh, that's really
could
cool.
Maybe help appease people. Even now, if I was to play Dead or Alive, like say I really like the gameplay of Dead or Alive, not that I do, but I would still feel really weird about like, if like, oh, someone doesn't walk in on me playing this big boob lady.
That's what I felt. That's how I felt. I just felt awkward because you knew that they were using that for the purpose of sexualization. Yeah. And that was all. So I was a bit like, I can't play this. Someone walks in and sees me playing this. I was like a 14-year-old kid. It's just not going to look good.
Yeah. So what was your question, Zara?
My question was, what do we think of the fact that the new Mortal Kombat film is being released on HBO Max and in theaters on the same day?
Oh,
that was a little bit wild.
I feel like they're trying to have their cake and eat it. I'd say all they really want to do is streaming, and they know that. Because I mean, well, I can't speak for the rest of the world, but we will still be pretty much in lockdown. I can't imagine our cinemas will be open. I feel like the majority of people will probably watch it on HBO. They've just put it out to cinemas as we still support our cinemas, even though they don't really care, and they know that they'll probably not get much profit from that.
Yeah, I would say all the revenue will come from online.
Yeah, I would think even in a normal world that Mortal Kombat seems like the kind of movie to be released online rather than in the cinemas.
Because of
I don't know, because it's not. It just doesn't feel like a theater kind of movie, where you would go to the cinema to see it. It's more of a movie where you would sit around with your mates, have a drink, or have some 420 if you fancy, and just have fun.
But the
like
2021
couch co-op.
It does look like a theatrical release to me.
Yeah, it looks more like a stuntman's showreel to me. I mean, the cinematography is pretty good, the CGI is pretty good, but it's just to me that's what the film is. It's more of like a stuntman showreel, and look what we can do with our.
Well, you can watch it on HBO. I'm going to the cinema.
Well, fair enough. I mean,
you'll not be invited.
Okay. And I called you a friend at the start of this podcast.
Oh, that changes minute by minute, probably.
We're so changeable.
Yeah. I'm so mercurial. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised even in a normal world if it was never released in cinemas, if it was just kind of released on HBO Max as like, hey, come to our platform. We've got this movie, kind of like Netflix.
Then how do we in the UK watch it?
Ooh, is that Now TV or something?
VPN.
Or
Lividia, our best friend.
Yeah.
Our little friend.
LAVIDIA. But yeah, I kind of like. I don't think I'll see it in the cinema, and I don't have HBO, so I'm going to have to go and find it off an alternative site. And I'd happily pay for it.
But don't you think there's a precedent now being set with like video game adaptations, like even Monster Hunter, the fact that it wasn't able to be released in the cinemas? And is it kind of like now a pandemic thing where even when the cinemas do open up, are they going to be not prioritized?
You think
not
cinemas
that they were
won't be
prioritized before, but I'm just saying, is there sort of a thing now where people are like, oh, well, it's just a video game movie, that kind of way?
Are you saying that you don't think theater releases will be prioritized? You think they won't be?
I think when cinemas open, they'll be prioritizing the big like blockbuster, like draw people to the cinema because they've been closed for so long. I kind of think it might be.
I don't think so.
The things like that'll be maybe,
I I think if they know that they're open and we're back to normality, I think they'll be happy to throw out
to stream whatever.
large budget and medium range budget movies.
I saw that, was it Midway Games that released Mortal Kombat also released Rampage, which was out a few years ago. I haven't seen it, and I watched the trailer again today, and it looks so good.
The movie's okay. I mean, it's a typical Dwayne Johnson movie. It's
got Jeffrey Dean Morgan being Negan.
It's a fun watch. It's a popcorn movie. But I used to love the game so much as a kid.
Really?
I thought the game was great. You basically played as one of these monsters and just terrorize the city and the civilians and the tanks and try and just build up a score. And I thought it was great. So I liked the movie.
Perfect material for a movie.
Perfect material for a Dwayne Johnson movie.
Yeah. Okay, so that concludes our talk on Mortal Kombat. You could say that we have finished him. Or something to that fucking degree. I don't know. Anyway, so thank you to Ryan and Zara for joining me again. Well, why joining me? It's not my show, apparently.
We will follow you anywhere, Jim.
Yeah, thank you.
Anywhere you go.
I have now named you my friends. And if you want to be my friend as well, or Zara's, or Ryan's, why don't you follow us on social media? You can find us on Facebook, Instagram. Do we have a Twitter now?
We have a Twitter.
We've got a Twitter now. Go follow us on Twitter. Tweet at us. Call us name. Send us pictures. Safe pictures. And we'll be back next time with 8-Bit Popcorn. Give us that good engagement. Say bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
See you next week.
Bye.
Awesome.
That was a very, very smooth outro.
As always.
It was great.